We're at Accessories International, and today we have an E350 2011 model with a turbo diesel engine. We have replaced the original Mercedes screen and put in the new Android Command screen. This is from DMP Car Design. It features all of the latest specs. You got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, the ability to watch movies, play games, stream, connect to the internet, and the best part is you can still access all of the original Mercedes features. You have the ability to use the command knob, you have the ability to use the steering wheel controls, and everything that originally worked, the rear view camera, all of that good original stuff is still fully intact. We're not getting rid of any of the original features. We've just added in a new system. We're gonna give you a quick breakdown, show you how the installation is done, walk you through some of the features, and give you an overview on this W212 Mercedes-Benz.
Here at Accessories International, we sell more than just the DMP Android screens, but also the custom-made steering wheels where you can choose the colors and the different configurations. We sell ambient lighting kits and much more. We also offer local installations out of Florida. Guys, if you're located in the state or you want to come down to see us for an install, call us 786-242-5400. We'd love to get you set up for an appointment to get your new products installed. With that being said, let's get started.
This is Alex at Accessories International, and today we're going to be installing this DMP Android Command screen kit into a Mercedes-Benz W212 model. We're going to be giving you a quick breakdown on all the components that's going to come in the kit. So starting off with the screen, this is a 12.3-inch Android screen from DMP Car Design. This is featuring the top of the line specs, a 685 processor, which we released this year in 2024, just a few months ago as of the date of this video. Now we're looking at the Android harnesses. This is going to be the main harness. These are the power cables, which are going to be used with the original Mercedes cable that comes out of the back of the radio. And here we have the big white-headed connector, which is going to plug into the Android screen to provide power. Within the screen, we also have a couple of other additional accessory connections for cameras, DVRs, other accessories like that. Most of the time you won't be using these, but if you do have an additional accessory, you will be looking into this harness to connect it. Here we have the LVDS harness. This is the smaller white-headed connection that goes into the back of the Android screen. This is what's going to be used to show the original Mercedes-Benz screen image on the new bigger screen. So this is what we're going to connect into the Android harness. And on this side, we have the LVDS female end. You're gonna unplug the original LVDS connector and plug it into here. However, in this car, it is an NTG 4.0 model, so you have a bigger 12-pin connector, which will first plug in here. And then this serves as an adapter box. You'll plug this into here, and this you'll run into power from the main harness as well. Here we have some additional accessories that come with your kit. This is an aftermarket microphone, the 4G antenna, and the GPS antenna. These are going to be subject to deciding whether you want to use them or not. The GPS antenna is only needed if you're using the native navigation built into the screen. The 4G antenna is only needed if you're going to put a SIM card into the screen and you'd like to have internet connection. And the microphone is really only needed if you want to switch out the original Mercedes and you plan on using this instead. Most of the time the original Mercedes mic works. We suggest you test it as you do the install to see what you decide in the moment. And here's a couple of screws and hardware. And that summarizes the DMP Android kit, as well as the bracket that comes with it. Of course, can't forget to mount it in the car.
To begin the installation, we'll first remove the AC panel trim. Start by opening the glove box and locating the two small metal clips. Slide these clips downward to release the AC panel trim. Next, use a pick tool to unlock the center air vents. There are two hidden tabs on each side of the vents. Insert the pick tool to pull the tabs inward and release the air vents. You can see the air vent mechanism movement here from the inside of the air vent. On the back side, there is a small catch lock that you need to catch with that pick tool. Once you catch the inside of that mechanism, you can pull it inwards, and that's what's going to allow the air vent to release. You'll notice the vents become looser once you have them released, actually allowing you to slightly wiggle them. Once the air vents are loosened, use a pry tool to carefully detach the left and right sides of the panel. Gently pull that panel free. You'll notice once it's out that there are 3 electrical connections on the back of the AC panel. You can disconnect these to completely remove the panel. With the AC panel now removed, you'll see 2 retaining screws holding the original radio in place. You can use a torque screwdriver to remove these screws, and make sure to fully untorque these screws just before the point where the screws come out of the slot. They can stay in the slot, just make sure they are fully untorqued, and then push their screws to the downward position. The screws have to be pushed downward in order to release the radio and be able to pull it out. If not, the radio will stay locked. Remove this cable when pulling out the radio due to its short length. Next, remove the cover around the original screen. This cover is held in place by snaps. You can use a pry tool to carefully release the snaps on all sides, but avoid pulling too hard on one side before the other side is freed to avoid cracking the panel. Once the cover is removed, unscrew the retaining screws for the screen. These screws will be reused for the new Android screen bracket, so be sure to keep them handy. Carefully pull the screen out and disconnect the two connectors on the back. The smaller power connector will not be reused, so you can tuck it away. However, the LVDS connector will be used later on, so make sure to keep it handy. Now we can remove the power harness from the back of the original radio. Locate the latching mechanism, release it, and then pull the harness free. On the harness, you'll find an orange fiber optic connector. This is critical for maintaining the sound in your vehicle, so be sure to handle it with care. This fiber optic cable will need to be transferred to the new Android harness. To release the fiber cable, there's a small tab mechanism that can be pushed upwards to gently release the cable. You can simply pull it out. There's no forcing required for this cable. It's very little effort to pull it out, so just make sure you release the tab. You can now get the new Android harness to prepare to connect it to the original Mercedes harness and into the original Mercedes radio. Now grab the fiber cable and plug it into the appropriate corner slot of the new Android harness, which will then be plugged into the back of the Mercedes radio. This step is necessary to ensure that you are getting sound from the original Mercedes radio and the Android screen at the same time. Next, locate the AMI connector in your vehicle. In this particular model car that we're working on, it's inside the glove box. This connector allows the Android screen to send audio through your car speakers. Now, when it comes to this AMI connector, it may be located either in the glove box like our particular vehicle or in the center console storage box. It's important for you to identify this and find where that AMI connector is located so that you'll know where you need to run the cables into. Now, to access this connector, we'll need to disassemble the glove box on our particular model. The glove box is completely sealed, as you can see, so there is no hole for us to feed the wires through that we need to get into the glove box. Because of this, we will disassemble the glove box and drill a hole to transfer the cables that we need from the Android harness into the glove box. We'll now disassemble and remove the glove box. Start by removing the side panel, which is held by snaps. Make sure these metal clips are still in their downward position. Now proceed to remove the plastic cover on the bottom of the glove box. There are 3 screws holding this plastic cover in place. There are are two connections that must be removed from the plastic panel. Make sure to undo these when removing it. Once the plastic cover is pulled off, you can find the two screws on the bottom of the glove box which hold the glove box in place, one on the right side and one on the left side. Proceed to remove these screws. Now moving to the top of the glove box, there are 3 screws holding it in place. One of them is underneath this carpet-lined cover, which you can pop out of place to remove the screw. The other 2 are in the middle and towards the left side. Remove these 3 screws in order to completely free off the glove box. Once the glove box is removed, you'll notice 2 electrical connections which are plugged in towards the top of the glove box. The first one is the small blue one, which can be easily disconnected, and the second one is the orange 12-volt power connector. In order to remove this, you can use a screwdriver to help you pry the mechanism. This connector does not slide outwards away from the 12-volt cigarette lighter. Instead, it slides sideways. Be sure to note this when removing it. You'll notice a third electrical connection running into the glove box, which is the AMI connector. We'll leave this be and proceed to trim the insulation foam to give us a space where we can drill to run the wires from the Android harness into the glove box. When finding the correct location for you to drill a hole into the glove box, you need to make sure that you choose a spot where the sliding mechanism of the glove box will not come into contact and create a conflict. Make sure to open and close the glove box to determine where the best location is for you to drill the hole. We like to drill the hole towards the back of the glove box so that it's less noticeable once it's complete. Then you can proceed to finish drilling your hole to run the Android cables into the glove box. With the glove box out, we now have more space to work with to allow us to more easily run the necessary cables upwards to plug into the screen, and also allow us to run the 3 required cables into the glove box to plug into the AMI input. The 3 cables needed to run into the glove box are the audio out cable, which looks like a 3.5mm aux cord, the first USB cable that's part of the smaller wiring harness, which is the LVDS harness, and the second USB, which is part of the bigger wiring harness. These USBs are meant for wired CarPlay and updates. With the glove box removed, we'll now begin to run the 3 cables into the new hole that we drilled, feeding them into the glove box. Now plug in the AMI to audio out adapter into the AMI input in your vehicle. The AMI adapter will look like this image, so make sure to get that one and plug it into the AMI input and the audio out cable into the other end. You can now begin to run the cables up to the appropriate hole on the top of the dash to plug them into the screen for testing purposes. We use a line and some tape to facilitate this process to make it easier for us to run the cables up. With the wires now run up to the upper position to plug into the screen, we'll now prepare the LVDS adapter box to be plugged in. We'll prepare the wire from the LVDS adapter box to be run into the power. Locate the connection that says DVR power as part of the main Android harness and prepare that wire so that you can tap in that LVDS power wire into this connection. We'll crimp the wires to run power and then continue with the installation. LVDS adapter box now powered, grab the 12-pin LVDS cable that came out of the original Mercedes screen and plug it into the adapter box. Now grab the blue-headed LVDS connector from this adapter box and plug it into the LVDS connection from the small LVDS Android harness. Once all three connections are made to the LVDS adapter box, including the power, the LVDS original connection, and the LVDS Android connection, you can use some double-sided tape to secure the LVDS box to the back of your dash to prevent it from rattling around and creating unnecessary sound. If using the 4G and GPS antenna, you can now peel back the double-sided tape and install them to the back of the console to prepare to have them plugged in. You can now plug in the screen for testing purposes. We'll now start the car and begin to test all of the main functions to make sure that the screen is running the way it should and that all connections are properly plugged in. The first feature we will test is the original Mercedes menu. You want to hit the car info button on the Android homepage and make sure that the screen opens up the original Mercedes interface menu without it being cut off. You need to make sure the entire menu is properly displayed, that it's not blurry, and that everything is displaying correctly. The next thing will be the command knob and the steering wheel controls. Make sure that they are both working the way that they originally did. The third feature will be the sound. First, you want to make sure that the car is getting sound in its original AM/FM radio. You can go into the audio source on the original Mercedes menu, switch the car into AM/FM radio, and make sure you can hear it. The next feature to test is the sound from the Android screen. You can now set the car into aux mode from the original Mercedes menu. Once you have it set to aux mode, go into the Android page to be sure that the audio is coming out from the Android system. Lastly, we'll test the rear view camera. Make sure you can still put the car into reverse and see that the rear view camera is properly displaying and automatically switching you to the rear view camera display even if you are on the Android page. If you do have any issues with the functions working, make sure to check our help guide video playlist that we have linked in the description below. We have a video going over each of the issues that you may have encountered, whether it be the original Mercedes display, the sound, the rear view camera, and more. This will be an in-depth guide to show you exactly what to do if you do encounter one of these issues. Now we'll begin to reassemble the console, the dash, and the glove box to reinstall everything and complete the installation. Start by pushing the Mercedes radio back into position. This may be harder than it originally was because there is new harnesses from the Android system which are now sitting behind the radio. We recommend accommodating the new wiring and the harness as far back in the radio slot as you can and then proceed to push the radio in. If it's simply too tight, pull the radio out, readjust the wires again, and try again. Do not be afraid to put some muscle into this process. We recommend that you have 2 people to help push the radio back into position to allow you to then put the retaining screws of the radio back in place. Reinstall the glove box and the plastic cover on the bottom of the glove box. Position the new Android mounting bracket and run the wires through the appropriate slots. The big power wire will run through the right side slot, and the smaller LVDS harness wire and the 2 GPS and 4G antennas will run through the left slot. Screw the 2 bracket retaining screws that came out of the original Mercedes screen into the 2 holes of the new bracket. The plastic pop covers of the bracket must be removed in order to install the retaining screws. Once the screws are in, you can put the plastic pop covers back into position. Grab the AC panel trim and reinstall it into position. Make sure these 2 metal clips above the glove box are slid into their downward position so that you can properly put the AC panel trim back in place. When putting the AC panel trim in, make sure you push it firmly against the dash so that all the snaps properly snap into position and don't create any vibrations when on the road. Don't forget to plug in the 3 connectors on the back of the center air vent. Pop open the plastic covers on the back of the screen. Place the metal clips on the retaining screw brackets of the bracket. Plug in all necessary connections to the back of the screen. Now secure the retaining screws on the back of the screen. Also make sure that the plastic tooth next to the retaining screw properly slides into place and catches the other plastic piece of the mount that's in the car. This is required for a sturdy fixing. Now enjoy your new Android screen with the installation complete. You can enjoy the latest of wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, apps, movies, games, and more. This video was brought to you by Accessories International. We're a US-based dealer in Miami, Florida. We sell DMP car design products including steering wheels, ambient lighting kits, screens, and more. We give the full lifetime support on all the products. We offer local installations out of Florida, and we provide you the latest updates on all of your products to keep you up to date with the best tech. As always, if you have any questions, give us a call at 786-242-5400. Thanks again for tuning into our video, and we'll see you next time.